Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I probably sound a little slurred because my bottom lip is numb. It's 40 degrees out. I just made a 10-mile boat run and I need to do a little warming up. I've got my heavy striker insulated Denali suit. This thing is amazing. Got some gloves on today. We're definitely pushing it. You know, we probably only have a few more weeks here before we actually freeze over. You know, the water temps are still decent. They're in the mid 50-degree range, but it's dropping quick. So we probably don't have that much more time before we freeze over, but I figured I'd get out here, flip around a little finesse jig, one of my favorite ways to catch some smallmouth during the late fall period on the local rivers. So let's see what we can do. We don't have that much time, but I'm looking forward to it. This is one of my favorite ways to fish. There it is. Nice one. Oh, God, they are thick right now. 2.5 pounder. On the old Little Spotty 3-inch Pit Boss combo. One of my favorite little finesse jigs. A little tungsten 3/8 ounce 2-time strong gummy hook on there. Then they've got their titanium epoxied weed guard. Super killer little bait. So I'm just fishing down the bank looking for targets. In this case, there's a little stump down there, and all I'm looking for, he's got me now. You know what? Really, the key here isn't necessarily the cover; it's the bottom contour. I'm actually trying to find areas with a little bit more gravel. When the water is really cold here, these fish really like to have. There's another one. Little guy. These fish really like to have little hard bottom areas. Now it's not rock, it's definitely gravel, but the thing here is there's not big stretches of it. When you find a little stretch, a lot of times you can catch a couple fish just like that. What I mean by little stretch, a lot of times your stretch is only going to be 30-50 feet. It's just a little stretch, but the key with the Little Spotty, being that it's tungsten, is I can feel the gravel. So generally, most of everything here is just sand. And because of that, you know, you don't really feel anything. But then when you hit that little gravel patch, you definitely can feel where your bait needs to be. And the thing is, it's not necessarily where you'd expect it to be. You know, it's not like you can just necessarily say, okay, I'm gonna go down, hit a little undercut bank or a little stretch where you can see rock on the bank. It's interesting to me how you get these little gravel patches that form generally where there is a little bit more current, but not always. And that's the key with the tungsten head. You couldn't refuse. You couldn't resist Little Spotty. He went down there and found you. Another 2-pounder. Destroyed the old Pit Boss. Let's get a new one on. So we're gonna mix it up. We had a green pumpkin one on here. We're gonna put a Okeechobee Craw 3-inch Berkeley Pit Boss. I like having contrasting colors, so have a little bit of blue with that green pumpkin is a good thing. I also like trailers that are not real big and flappy during cold water. I like a much more streamlined profile. The Pit Boss has a little bit of flap, but it doesn't have any resistance in the water, so I really like that versus something that's got just the big like craw flappers. just seems like in this cold water, they're not looking for something to really give them a lot of vibration. They're really just kind of looking for that easy meal. So I like to slow down my presentation. I really like to let this hit the bottom, just work it a little bit slow. Now, you know, where I'm fishing right now, the bites are gonna come probably within 10 or 15 feet of the bank. That's just generally how, you know, it works here, because I'm sitting in 8 feet of water right now. And it just seems like most of the fish are going to be relatively bank related. There's halfway between me and the bank, there's a drop from about 4 feet to 8 feet, and the smallmouth just tend to be up. Now, a lot of them are sliding back into this deeper water to start thinking about wintering, but the more active fish are going to be definitely still up a little bit shallower, ready to eat. Oh, pike. Something tells me I'm gonna have to retie after this one. Long, skinny fish. Not a good one. 2 3/4 probably. Just sitting off this little gravel little point. Skinny for this time of year. That. Walter, I should have known you were a walleye. Walleye like little spotty. Catches everything. Come on, let go. It's one thing I love about fishing dark water, whether it's a river or mud. If you get a bite right under the boat, a lot of times you can put your bait right back down and basically dangle it over the side. And you'd be surprised how many fish will come back for it. I mean, that's the second time today that I've done that. Once with a walleye, once with a smallmouth. But, you know, when the water is cold, a lot of times they don't eat it that well, which is one of the reasons why I like to really throw a little finesse jig like this Tungsten Little Spotty, because it really appeals to everything, but it's a small enough profile where the fish tend to get it pretty good. And, you know, if they don't, a lot of times you can throw it right back to them like we just did there, and we did a little while ago. Just a really versatile bait for covering lots of water. I mean, I'm fishing everything from little gravel points and little gravel bars to, you know, a piece of wood to a cut bank, you know, to submerged timber that's out a little deeper. It's just a really good bait to kind of throw around at everything. And because of that tungsten head, you can feel around so good. You know, you can tell, okay, I just hit a log, or I'm in some gravel, you know, I'm in sand, or you just have such better feeling with tungsten. And tungsten really, on a jig, I'm not saying all the time, but there's a lot of times when you really do have a good advantage by using tungsten. And in cold water, when the fish are relating more towards rock type areas, I really do think it is a big advantage for the angler to use tungsten. Oh boy. Trouble. Trouble. That's a good one too. I think. Oh yeah. Oh. That's about a 3-pounder. Nice one. Swinging them over docks. Yeah, I was not really expecting that. But that's one of the reasons why, even though it's a finesse jig, I still like to use a little bit heavier tackle. I mean, when I say heavier, it's not heavy, but it's a 7.3 medium heavy rod, and I'm flipping it on 15-pound 100% Berkeley fluorocarbon. And you know, when you're still fishing around relatively heavier cover, like a dock, or like, you know, around some of the wood I've been fishing around, I prefer to have it on about 15-pound. I wouldn't really go any heavier. I mean, you definitely can, but I don't know that that's necessarily the. I just think you start overpowering the jig a little bit if you're fishing open stuff or just dragging gravel and stuff. You definitely can drop down to like 10-12 pound test. You know, it's got a real light weed guard on it, so you don't need something that's real heavy to set the hook, but I would probably stick with 10-pound test or more. And in case you need to swing a 3-pounder over a dock, you can go ahead and do that. That's one of those casts that your landing percentage is probably about 50%, but you're not going to get the fish to bite if you don't even try. So I like to try. And in that case, it worked out just fine. Barely. Well, it looks like we do have some rain moving in, so I think I'm going to get off the water. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Go get yourself some Picasso Tungsten Little Spotties, 1/4 to 1/2 ounce, I believe are the sizes. Lots of awesome colors. Get yourself some 3-inch Berkeley Power Bait Pit Bosses. Put it on your finesse jig, and when you get these cold front days like this, you can throw them around and still generate some bites. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, new video coming out tomorrow.